Good morning, good morning, great morning to you. You know, that's what I really like to say. Great morning to you. It is such a pleasure to be with you on this amazing Thursday morning. It is awesome. I had a shirt on the other day that just said awesome. And so I walked in and actually I had a doctor's appointment. A young lady said, "How are you?" And she looked at the shirt and she said, "You know what? You're awesome." I said, "Absolutely." And I know that you are awesome today as well. Such a pleasure to be with you. As always, my name is Collette Ramsey and you are tuned in to Coffee and Conversation with Collette. So, good morning to you. In the midst of everything that is happening, and I do mean everything that is happening internationally and in these United States of America, it's a great morning. So, if I'm here with you and you're here with me and you can see me and you can hear me, so whether you are tuned in through TV 33, our wonderful WHPR TV 33 station, or Comcast 90 or Comcast 91 or Roku or watching us streaming live, thank you and good morning to you. You know, so much has been happening. You know, it's really kind of hard for me. You get into the conversations of picking a topic. I don't want to make something that was like a hot topic, you know, kind of all over the place. Last week we had amazing conversation just about, you know, our senior component, what the passing homegoing of an international icon, Muhammad Ali, what does that look like, who we are as a people. And so this week, some things have been happening, and you know that they've been happening. I mean, we can talk about there's some news that's happening in the state that I don't really know if you are aware of. I'm going to bring that up, but the theme for today, most fitting, is the moral compass of America. You know, I've presented it to you before. We've talked about morality, we've talked about moral fiber, and I've always tried to create a conversation as it pertains to America, who we are as Americans in the wake of our presidential campaign that's vastly, you know, coming down to the wire. In a few months you will be selecting a president. And we talk about making America great again, that America has not been great, that America's greatness was lost. Who makes America great? I mean, that's a different conversation, but maybe it boils down to your moral fiber. I'm going to give you a quote which I just thought was profound. Listen to this. Morality is simply the attitude we adopt toward people whom we personally dislike. Yes, I stepped back because I just had to put that up there. I'm going to give you our numbers, 313-868-0342 or 313-868-0351 or 313-868-4336. Now, do I need to express that again? Let me give that to you again. Morality is simply the attitude we adopt towards people, and I'm going to add in there, or situations, whom we personally dislike. But for these purposes, this was not my quote. This is a quote by Oscar Wilde. And so, again, morality is simply the attitude we adopt towards people whom we personally dislike. So, in the wake of the travesty that we have experienced this last week in Orlando, I really want to kind of get your thoughts. We upset as a nation because lives were taken? Is that the underlying conversation that you have heard and what you've been reading and following in news? Or are we upset because the individuals were in an LGBTQ situation? So it was a gay nightclub and then 49 people were gunned down, killed. Then are we in an uproar? because the individuals were LGBT or Q, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, questioning. And so I know that there are individuals out there because, I've kind of had the conversations and a lot of people didn't want to necessarily come on air and talk about it, share their views outwardly, but some of them said, you know what, that's what they get. In the Bible, it condemns homosexuality. In the Quran, homosexuality is condemned. So, you know what? This was someone's personal belief based on their moral fiber, which then caused him to gun down and injure individuals. Have we thought about that? Is that okay? We're going to give a historical perspective of what morality looks like. So, of course, I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to bring up slavery. So, haven't we all learned that, sure, slaves sat down, they were given quotes from the Bible that says that slaves are to obey their masters and the like. And so, based off of the system that we set up, meaning we, the capitalists in America, those individuals who his story, identify as founding fathers, have said this is our America, and so this is how we justify the use of you for our economic gain. That's a moral compass. And so are we in an uproar about that? I mean, I really would like to know, are you in an uproar? And I'm going to read to you our latest news this week that happened in the state of Michigan. Okay? So, in our state of Michigan, our own governor, Governor Snyder, signs a law that requires genocide education in schools. And this was reported through the Detroit News. And so let me just give you the overview. So the Holocaust during World War II and in the 1915 and 1920 massacre of Armenians must be taught, let me stress that again, must be taught in Michigan public schools under a law signed by Governor Rick Snyder on Tuesday. That's this week. Today's Thursday, Tuesday. So the governor signed this law that it must be taught in Michigan schools. So the new law recommends a combined 6 hours of genocide lessons be taught at some point between grades 8 through 12 and requires Snyder to make appointments to a 15-member genocide education panel. The law says instruction doesn't need to be limited to the Armenian massacre and the Holocaust, but those were the only two mass killings acknowledged in the law. Did anyone get that? Did you follow this in the news? Was it overshadowed by the international news with, again, the atrocity at the Pulse nightclub in Orlando? But now in Michigan, it is mandated that our students, our young people, have to take courses that address the Holocaust and the Armenian massacre. And it says nothing, mass killings, about anyone else in the law. I'd love to, and I didn't get a chance. Sometimes the conversations, and then maybe that's Collette, but I didn't call any elected officials because I just wanted to know that if this law passed, and maybe I had my own answer, that if this law passed, were there any other people there that wanted to represent another group experience? So mass killings, African Americans, Africans coming to America, the mass killings, the bombing, Hiroshima, mass killings. The mass killing component is applicable to a variety of individuals, but based on our moral fiber, did you get it? Are we enacting laws that based on, what we want to talk about, what we deem is important? And since so many times on this conversation, in these conversations, in the company that we keep, we determine that, maybe what is important to black and brown and tan people, and maybe that's just the color component, and then we're going to add on top of it the social economic component, maybe those things aren't important. Well, let me continue to give you some details about this. So, Snyder released a letter explaining his signature Tuesday, noting that not all governments and nations accept the definition of genocide as put forth by the United Nations. He says the decisions about how to teach that history should be made in each community, and adds that his signature shouldn't be viewed as an indication that elected state officials are the best guiding voice on what specific material should be taught in the classroom. So it's interesting. So if he is thus stating that elected officials are not the best voice, then why enact a law that mandates that the students have to learn this history? Let me further advise you that the article states that historians estimate that as many as 1.5 million Armenians were killed by Ottoman Turks in an event widely viewed by historians as genocide. The term also used by Snyder and now Michigan statute. But Turkey disputes the death toll and denies the deaths constitute genocide. Further, the article acknowledges that there is estimated 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust during World War II. Now, I don't want anyone out there to say, Collette, you're dismissing, you're belittling the atrocity. No, I am not. I honor the atrocity against the Jews. I honor the atrocity against the massacre of the Armenians. That is your history. I by no means would ever dispel that, try to take that away from you, question that, any of that. Not my position. However, once it comes to elected officials signing legislation that then dictates that that has to be taught in schools and our education system, I'm kind of questioning it. Because then I need us to be all inclusive, right? Doesn't our government supposed to, I had to catch myself, supposed to represent everyone? I'm going to give you another quote. And I had to sit back on this one. And you all know I'm not by any means saying that I, am the most astute individual. However, I like to think. I can read and think. So let me give this one to you. And I might have to read it a couple of times because I had to read it a couple of times for myself. So let me give it to you. Moral justification is a powerful disengagement mechanism. Destructive conduct is made personally and socially acceptable by portraying it in the service of moral ends. This is why most appeals against violent means usually fall on deaf ears. And this is a quote from Albert Bandura. And I just want to ask you, did that resonate with you? I have to read this again. Are you getting the scope of what this statement means? And then we're going to give some examples. So maybe we need that, okay? To foster the conversation. So listen to this. Moral justification is a powerful disengagement mechanism. So, when you engage, that means you come together. Separate. Disengagement mechanism. So, destructive conduct is made personally and socially acceptable by portraying it in the service of moral ends. This is why most appeals against violent means usually fall on deaf ears. So that means that most appeals against violence are moot. So maybe the conversation with Black Lives Matter. So do Black Lives Matter to black folk if you consistently kill each other and no one is in an uproar? But then when the establishment, whether it's a police officer, whether it's something in the legal system, whether it's a judge, mandates a death sentence, whether it be by an actual killing with a gun or killing with the sentence for life imprisonment. But does that fall on deaf ears because the moral component says you all don't care about yourselves? You live in that dire strait every day. And so because you don't care about yourselves, we're going to help you out. So why are you making such a big deal about Black Lives Matter? Because when you present that to someone else of your same skin hue, it's not a problem. We're numb to it. So maybe is that why the appeal against it normally falls on deaf ears? Was that profound to you? So I'm going to talk about that. So I'm going to go back a little ways. We talk about prayer in school. Okay? When I grew up, I went to Catholic schools, so we prayed in school. But you have, I'm sure, you recall a time when you prayed in school. You recall a time when prayer was taken out of school, and you, I'm sure, have heard many documentaries and read many articles and news clippings and the like, and said that the moral fiber of society changed once prayer was taken out of school. Now, we are very clear that there's supposed to be a separation between church and state. So in the governance and the education, that religion, belief should not come into play. However, we believe the moral compass presents itself to us that if indeed we are praying and we were praying in school, that everything was better. Because there was a connection, there was a centeredness, at least there was a oneness, and there was an acknowledgement of a higher being that created a different energy for us. What do you think about that? I mean, was that true? Things were different when we prayed. Just like we pledge allegiance and we pray. And society is different. What are your thoughts about it? That's one of them I'm going to put out there for you. And then the next one, of course, you know I am, the significance of the church. So if we're talking about morality and what that looks like, and depending on what your religious affiliation is, because don't get it twisted, religion is very different from spirituality. Yes, you heard it here. Okay? So I could have a relationship with God, but I don't have to identify with a religion, whether that's Baptist, Catholic, Protestant, Buddhist, Muslim. I don't have to identify per se with a religious doctrine to have a relationship with God. But in the assessment of what the church does, is that an issue of the moral fiber, and then we live our lives based off of those beliefs. And then we make decisions based off of those beliefs. And then those decisions determine, for a lot of us, what we believe is going to be our eternal resting. So whether you are in a heaven or a hell is a component of what you believe. The moral compass which has been put on you, whether by your choice or what has been led down from generations. You know, we always say, I grew up in the Baptist church, down through the years. So down through the years that has been given to you, do you know it to be your own, or just that it was given to you and you accepted that doctrine and that's how you live your life? But then that moral component is the guideline for how you maneuver. Have you ever talked to someone who has never grown up in church? I'd love to know that. And I'd love to know, have you had detailed conversations about moral components for America? So what do you believe about the war on drugs? What do you believe about crime? If individuals didn't grow up with if you believe, an overview of a God, the God, however you identify God in your life, a higher power in your life watching you, that you had to be accountable for your actions. If you didn't have any of that, what does the conversation look like? So you wouldn't necessarily fall into the doctrine of this moral conversation. And so maybe is that why we have atheists, and individuals are mad at atheists because they say that they don't acknowledge a God. We don't understand that. It's mere human form and matter, and then it's evolution, and we evolved into this species of intellect, and so that is what it is. And so when this physical being is over, then that's it. I'll morph into something else. Maybe, hey, I just want to put it out there. Do you think about that? Are you thinking about that? And then I'm going to, of course, throw in there your color and socioeconomic status. Does that determine the outcome in this moral compass? So if we are of means, are we impacted by what is happening from a moral position? So if we are in means, we don't necessarily live in lower advantaged communities, less advantaged communities as it pertains to housing, education, city services, employment. So that changes our outcome. So based off of the governance of the people, then do the powers that be say, oh, well, you know what, that's okay for them? Do I put then my moral assessment on how I legislate what is good for you? Is there a moral issue that are we still dealing with Flint? And the pipe still not being fixed. And the conversation still type of waning to the side. Are we still dealing with that? Because we always say, and we've said it here, and I think every news station, every means of communication, every written correspondence at some point has stated, you know what, would this have happened in a more affluent community? I'm here to tell you that it wouldn't. It would not be acceptable. So, is that just an issue? And I'm asking, is that an issue because you are of a different means? Is the moral component assessed that, oh, we can't have this in an affluent community, but it's okay in a lesser economic community, a poor community? Same thing with education. So many of us have the conversation that we've moved on to the suburbs because the educational system is better. So why is the educational system better in the suburbs? Because is there a moral assessment to who lives in the suburbs, and then the educational system is going to be best fitting for those individuals versus an urban environment, because the assessment is if you live in an urban environment that of course you perhaps are of lesser means, lesser education, less intellect, less drive, and all those things that would make you a completely engaging citizen in these United States of America. And so because of that, that assessment, then we disengage activities that would fix it, would adequately address it. I'm asking. Those are just things that I'm thinking. And, I'm going to throw this in here. How does revenue, economic gain, play a part of our moral assessment as well? And I'm going to go over to the maybe to the right or to the left on this one, but everyone is aware of the atrocity with the 2-year-old that was stolen, as they say, by the alligator at the Disney resort. Okay? So everyone was in uproar, and of course, as they should be, about the 2-year-old that was stolen, and there was a resolve that they were going to get the body back. And then later, yesterday evening, there were reports that the body was found. Now, did you all know that in the same time over in Shanghai that the Disney franchise was launching their resort in Shanghai as a new experience? So the Disney brand was launching in Shanghai, China. And so how then would this American incident have an impact on the global sustainability and the measurement of the brand in Shanghai, which is the bottom line revenue? I need someone to explain to me how an alligator leaves a body to be found. Did you question that? How is anything ever left from an alligator's attack? You all saw the reports. They had the zoo director stating that, an alligator doesn't see, there's not a consciousness that this is a child. They probably thought it was a small raccoon. It was some type of animal, and so it went to do what it does. And so were you led to believe that the alligator just grabbed the child, and then what did it do? Just puncture the body of the child and then just left it? Just left it there to be found? So when the news reported that the body was found, did anyone question how does that make sense? Or was that a component of what Disney had to say or the image that they had to portray because they didn't want their bottom line to be impacted, the revenue, by this incident, especially since Disney was launched in Shanghai yesterday? Don't you like that? Are we even thinking about that? Are we discussing that? Is there a moral issue with any of this? So did they make a conscious decision based off of what they believed? They believed that if internationally individuals saw that this was an atrocity that happened on our watch, that then we are going to lose revenue. And so we need to make this decision right now. How do we dispel this and show that we have this in control? And so now the body was found. Tell me, when is a body found? And so everyone has been reporting in the news, yes, the body is found, the body is found. Is anyone thinking, we always talk about educating ourselves, and when you read, you can, create a level of education, but I venture to say you read and listen and you think. Think. So are we thinking, how is a body found of a 2-year-old from an attack of an alligator? I'm just asking you. I'm going to go to the call. Thank you so much for your patience. Then we're going to talk about the Confederate flag in Pennsylvania. There's a lot of other things morally we're going to get to in the time that we have. But thank you so much for your patience. You're a part of the conversation. Good morning. Oh, no. Do I hear you? Are you speaking loudly? Okay, hold on, hold on. I'm going to put you on hold for a minute and see if we can get some volume. Okay, I'm going to pick you up again. Let's see, let's see. Good morning. You're part of the conversation. Oh, I still don't hear you. Are you there? Are you there? Okay, well, you know what? We're going to say, see, this is the kind of conversation you have. So we have some technical difficulties at times, but your conversation is important to me. So please, if you hang up, call back. I'll get you. Okay? I'm going to get you. So hang up, call back, and I'll get you. So did you all know, I'm going to add to this, that the Confederate flag, are we still having conversations about Confederate flags? So, it's great when you have experiences in your life that you're open to and you understand your environment and where you're going and what's happening, right? So, had the pleasure of riding out on the back roads on the way to Toledo. Didn't know, when you're out riding, having a great time, great conversation. The next thing you know, we were in a space, back roads, cornfields, and next thing you know, truck is riding through with a huge Confederate flag waving in the back of it. And I said, oh no, where is the interstate? Because I promise you, and then there was a speedway and they were out doing their thing. And I said, I promise you, there are no people of color around here. The Confederate flag is waving. Let us get to the interstate. And so with this Confederate flag issue, why are we still having the conversation about the Confederate flag? So let me let you know that in Pennsylvania Capitol, they take the flag down yet again. And so it's Harrisburg. And good morning to State Senator Vincent Hughes. Good morning, sir. He is my senator out of Philadelphia. West Philadelphia is his region. I had the pleasure of serving as his director of communications. So good morning, sir. And thank you so much for all you do in Philadelphia specific and for Pennsylvania as a representative of the legislative body. So in Harrisburg, again, finding it a symbol of racism and hate, Governor Tom Wolf ordered a Confederate flag removed from a Flag Day exhibit in the state capitol after the chairwoman of the Black Legislators Caucus took it down, but event organizers put it back up. So, Wolf took action on Wednesday of this week after Capitol Police had been summoned to retrieve the flag and return it to the display. It's a reproduction of the 1863 Confederate battle flag, and it was part of a historical society's collection of flags that has been flown over what is now the U.S., including from territories and the colonial period. So, of course, there's some representation who says that they were stunned as they walked to the Capitol and saw this flag. But then there are others who state that, it's okay, because that's a part of history, and so we have to acknowledge history. So in honoring history, as it goes back to what that looks like in Michigan, as we state that now it's a legislation on the books that certain individuals in their history has to be taught in the classroom. That is a moral component as well. So let me go back to the quote. I mean, do you understand that it's based off what I believe? So morality is simply the attitude we adopt towards people whom we personally dislike, or it's a justification for a powerful disengagement mechanism. So I act based off of what I believe. So I can oppress you if I have the power and influence to oppress based off of what I believe. So if I believe that you should be oppressed and you don't have value and I have the power to do that, I can do that and it's justified. So I'll put it back to you. Are we in an uproar and upset because in Orlando, individuals were killed? They were gunned down because they were individuals? Or we're upset because they were just individuals, Americans, who happened to be gay? And is that a component of hate? A lot of us are talking about who is claiming this, and that's an issue in and of itself, a moral assessment of who claims when atrocities are done. So we're going to give the credit. So I'm going to raise my hand and say it was me. It was me. My group. We did that. We orchestrated that. We want you to know that we take responsibility for that because it's based off of what we believe. So if individuals are believing that America is evil, that America is oppressive, that America is controlling, that America has an inherent dictatorship and wants to then manage every and anyone outside of her walls, then I'm going to impose things on you within my will because I can, based off of what I believe you are and who I believe you are. I'm asking you. So, is there a psychology of hate that we need to address? Thus, the article in the USA Today. Are we just not being honest about hate? I mean, when these type of things happen, I always say, I'm going to go out on the street. And I wish that I could find an individual and have a real conversation and call it like, what's really good? Or what's the 411s? Well, you're honest enough to say what you believe and feel that you won't be ridiculed. So I could put a mic in your face and say, hey, do you believe that it was okay that these individuals were killed in Orlando? And that you might very well say, yes, I do. Because some people say the chickens are coming home to roost. Some people are saying that it's the end of time. And so these things are going to happen for people who are without, under the cloak of God. And that's a moral assessment, right? Are we just honest about it? I got a caller going to try to pick you up again. Thanks for your patience. You're part of the conversation. Good morning.
Good morning, fellow patriots.
Patriots, how are you?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm amazing. Thank you.
Good, great. Yes, you got making some valid points there,
I
Collette.
am. Okay.
It is, you stick a mic in somebody's face, and I'm sure we'll find some Christians that this was preordained because they was going against the order of things in Christianity.
Yes.
So, but to me, if when you say you're a Christian and you're supposed to be following the teachings of Jesus Christ,
yes,
it seems to be kind of intuitive when they say these things. When they say, "Oh well, I believe in Christ, but I hate homosexuality."
Okay.
Jesus Christ didn't hate anyone.
Okay.
So to me, Christians, Muslims, whatever, if they are teaching hatred, that's not the order of things. And I think that we need to reevaluate Christianity if that's the case, because that's not what Jesus preached. He loved everybody, even I think he hated, and in fact, he loved the most, the worst of us.
Okay.
So, we in America have, in the world, violence is around the world, and everybody keeps saying violence will never stop.
Okay.
It's going to be people born with sadistic attitudes and, pulling off, burning cats. The behavior, they said, even the psychologists say, is shown early in life.
Sure. Well, stay there with me. Hold on for a second. So, but talk to me about where you believe the moral component comes in. Do you believe that there's a direct relationship with religion and morality?
Uh, I don't think so because
Okay.
we have a lot of history in America where Christians have been the most violent people. In fact, I guess the Crusades was all about that, wasn't it?
Yes.
Christianity, forcing Christianity on the world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and they did it in a violent way. So it's always been a violent history when it comes to religion.
Okay.
But I think it's an individual component on how you feel. Because I have no, qualms about homosexuality or anything. Because I believe in it that we treat people the way we want to be treated, no matter what their sexual orientation is,
Oh.
or their color, or whatever. I treat people on face value, no matter what color they are. And until we start doing that,
Okay.
because it's evil in all colors.
All right.
So we need to start talking to people and treat them uh, as like I said, as you want to be treated.
Okay.
So, the question is a complex question, Collette.
Yes. That's what
It's
we
very
like. We like
complex.
to create complexity. That's what we like. That keeps the conversation spicy. We got to do that. I
Yeah,
appreciate your
well,
call. You know, I got two.
we need to start talking about the complex questions in our world
Sure.
because it's a complex world.
Yes, it is. Yes,
It,
it is.
people use violence for different things. For power, for dominant, for
Mm-hmm.
control,
Mm-hmm.
uh, for position, for money.
Sure.
So it's a lot of people get violent because of love. They love somebody so much they want to kill them.
Right.
So
Or kill other
that
people
it's
for
a
it.
lot of
Right.
excuses
Right.
for violence in our world. But you don't want people to go around killing you. So if you
Right.
want to be treated violently, then you shouldn't. You go around treating other people violently. If
That's
you
right.
don't want to be treated violently, I should say.
That's right. Well, I
So
appreciate your
uh,
call. I got two other calls I got to get to. The
okay,
lines are
all
blinking
right,
right now.
Collette. But
So
I
thank
say,
you.
I like your thinking idea. It's comprehension. It's
Yes.
and thinking. We need to start doing a lot more of it.
Thank you.
That's
We
all.
do. Well, we're going to
Okay.
do it here. As long as we're together on Thursday mornings, we're going to do it.
All right. That's
All
right.
right. Have an
Have a
amazing
great.
day. Thank you. You know what? And he makes a good point. I mean, think about it. Do we justify? Well, of course we do. We justify what we like. So if there's someone who happens to be gay and I like them, we don't think about that. If there's someone who's black and I like them, and my family has taught me that we don't all blacks are lazy and all these other kind of things. But if you're black and I like you, then it's okay. We justify it. So what we like, we cloak, and it's okay. But then if we don't like it, we'll either pull out a Bible on you, we'll pull out something that then makes we oppress you with that. And I know, and callers I see it, so don't go anywhere. I'm going to put this out here. We're having a conversation last night. You see, I say that Oprah, and I said it. Oprah had a sit down with First Lady Obama, and that's great. We can talk about that. But we started talking about Oprah. And then all of Oprah's successes and connections and the oneness with the universe and, your potential and all these things that she is not married. And the conversation was, does anyone talk about Oprah not being married? And that no matter what the religious doctrine that you study or follow or whatever that looks like for you, that there's always a component of the oneness of man and woman under God. And so, and that's marriage. But we don't hear that it's a problem that Oprah is not married because it's Oprah. So it's just because we like Oprah. And I just, of course, use her as an example because she's an international icon. And she consistently says that she's not married because she doesn't want to be married, but she's in a committed relationship. And so, based off of our moral compass, we justify it because we like Oprah. So it's okay that Oprah isn't married. But Susie down the street, who maybe has two children and lives with a man, will say, oh, that's wrong. He should marry her. He should make her honest. Or fornicating, and yes, we can talk about it. I said fornicating. If we're fornicating and we're not married, then the justification is, well, it's okay because I'm committed to you and you're committed to me, and we are working somewhere in it. Or they'll say, oh, well, don't give away the cow. You've heard that, the milk and without the, I'm going to ask you, putting it out there. Thanks you so much for your patience. You're part of the conversation this morning. Good morning.
Hello?
Good morning.
Yeah, you done open up a can of worms with this one.
Good.
Hey, I appreciate your critical thinking because we need to have this conversation.
Nice.
I was going to elaborate on a couple of things, but what you just spoke on when you talk about moral judgment, it all depends on the perception that people have. You can have a rich woman that have a lot of lovers, and they're lovers.
Right.
If you can have a poor woman that has a lot of lovers, she's a whore.
Say it.
Okay, and when you look at morality, the Catholic Church in itself, hey, they used to burn people at the stake.
Yes.
If you didn't convert to Catholicism, hey, you weren't long for this world.
That's right.
And I look at America, and America is a perfect example of an oxymoron.
Mm-hmm.
You had the founding fathers that came here seeking freedom, but yet and still they were slave owners.
Yes, sir.
And then, to justify it, they demonize the slave and say, hey, you're really 3/5 of a human.
Yes.
So in turn, you're really not like me, so, hey, I can do just about what I want to with you.
Absolutely.
So, when you look at all that, and I'll give you a quick example of when you were talking about the Confederate flag.
Sure.
Years ago, I was down at the Motor City, and I was in their gift shop.
Okay.
And they had some shirts, and the whole pattern was Confederate flags.
Mm.
So, hey, I felt rather offended by it, so I spoke to one of the associates in there, and the young lady told me, she said, you need to go in there and complain.
Okay.
She said, but I'm going to tell you this here. She said, our buyer is black. So I did go in there and complain, and they did disappear.
All right.
But what I'm trying to say is that the system that's in place is doing its job.
Yes.
It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. I never thought about that Disney thing,
Yeah.
but now that you speak on it, the first thing I thought when they said that the baby was dragged into the water, well, you won't find that baby.
Right.
Or you won't find pieces of it.
Right.
And then they say the baby's intact.
Right.
So hey, rather odd. But hey, I'm not going to hold you. I just want to chime in a little bit because, hey, you got me up this morning.
I'm glad. I'm so happy. And I believe you're a first-time caller because your voice isn't familiar. So welcome to the conversation, and thank you so much for calling.
Well, thank you so much, too.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Everyone, see, that's what it's about. It's about us thinking. We can't just accept what is told to us, even if I say something. Remember, there's more than one way to have a conversation. We can always respectfully to agree or disagree, but we have to have the true conversation. I'm just saying. That's part of the conversation. Thanks for your patience. I'm going to get you on. You're part of Collette this morning. Coffee and Conversation with Collette. How are you?
Good morning, Collette.
Good morning.
Yes, the gentleman before me he expounded on a lot of things that I agree with.
Okay.
But I want to look at it as in not a different way, but how did it come to pass? So when he said, the Catholic Church,
Okay.
but when I look at it, there are people in the Catholic Church, and they take out or they perform the actions that they perceive that would happen. So even when you look at the people say, well, what would Jesus do? What did he do? And so they look at how did he treat the poor? What did he do about this or that?
Right.
Different things.
Right.
And they say those are the teachings of him. But it's in the Bible.
Right.
Well, someone else wrote the Bible. I don't think Jesus wrote the Bible.
Come on.
Okay,
Yes.
because if you do history, he died on the cross. Okay, now you interject monies, which was always there, capitalism,
Yes.
which was a system. Okay, you interject these things, and so you have people that interpret you. interpretate these moral, without probably with conversation, but not with you.
Yes.
Okay. Now, the other thing I want to say is that, you don't come here with all of these. I mean, you're born as a child, you don't come here with all of these moral things. You're given it.
That's right.
Either you're given it through your parents' teaching or the culture that you live in.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, how you learn things, basically.
Yes.
You learn by reading, if you have that function.
Yes.
You learn by seeing, and you learn by doing.
Yes.
So if you see someone do this, it's acceptable, and there's no punishment.
Yes.
Or there's no harm to you, but to the other person which you don't connect with,
yes.
That's acceptable.
Yes. Yes.
And that's not to say that you don't have any moral values. It's that how are you supposed to know what moral values are when you don't come here with moral values? You're given them. So if you're given a destructive moral values to humanity, let's put that in there also.
Yes.
Not just to gay people, whatever.
Right.
And I think, and I'm not, I can say I'm not a reader of the Bible, but when I listen to other folks, they say, well, he accepted everybody.
Right.
Or she accepted everybody, because I don't know what gender Jesus was. I like to throw that out there every once in a while.
Yeah.
So what were you doing?
Right.
Where does this come from?
Right.
And once you find something in business, once you find something that's successful, the ability to sway people and change them for your own benefit, you go right ahead.
Right.
You don't stop.
Right.
As the guy said about a Confederate flag, a business person only puts something on the shelf that sells. He does not keep anything. He sells everything.
Right.
He
Right.
gets a return when it's out. He could care less.
I gotcha. Great point. Great
Okay,
point.
going to Walmart, but I mean, you look at it.
Yes.
Nothing stays there,
Yes.
and he is determined to be successful.
You're right.
He's run everybody else out of business, so he must be successful.
Absolutely. I so appreciate your phone call. You're a first-time caller as well. I got 2 other calls I got to get to
Okay,
in our 6
hang in
minutes.
there.
Thank you so much. You know what, everyone? I'm loving the conversation. And he makes a great point. When we talk about the Catholic Church, do you realize the business of the Vatican? The Vatican is one of the most powerful entities in the world. Did you hear what I said? That's the business of the Vatican, the business of the Catholic Church, the business in real estate, in governance, in influence. You saw that the Pope came in and sat down with the United Nations. The Pope has come in and sat down with presidents and has been what they deem influential in Cuba. And us opening up conversations and sanctions back into Cuba. The influence of the Catholic Church. But we didn't hear any uproar about that. Come on, you guys. Let's think. I'm going to get you 2 in before we conclude. Good morning.
Good morning, Collette Bear. It's
Good
MC
morning,
Gino. Happy Thursday. How are you,
Thursday
dear?
to you. I'm amazing. How are you?
I'm wonderful. You look great on Comcast 91 in that pink.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You really do.
Yeah.
Tonight,
Sure.
on the word,
Okay.
on the explosion, on the outreach, tonight is the 3rd Thursday of this month.
All
and
right.
tonight, we are honoring men. Tonight is Men's Night.
That's right. Men's night.
We are honoring men.
Okay.
And we have some special musical guests tonight.
Okay.
We have the legendary Spider Turner calling in.
All right.
We have Gino Clark in studio, the son of the late, great Tony Clark, Omni Entertainer. Joe Pep Harris calling in, Mr. Smiling Faces himself.
Okay.
We'll be calling in to Word Explosion Outreach Ministries. We also have Brian Hall Jr. and Brian Hall Sr. tonight,
Okay.
as well, honoring men. Now, we're honoring real fathers, real men in our
Yes.
community.
Yes.
Shout out to fellow Patriot. Shout out to 6'4". Shout out to Candleman. You have my condolences once again on the loss of your daughter.
Oh, yes.
We are honoring real fathers, real men,
Yes.
and also businessmen in our community. We will also be honoring the CEO of WHPR as well.
Yes.
And we'll also be honoring the Vice President as well on Word Explosion Outreach Ministries.
Yes.
And we'll also be honoring the great men in independent radio as well.
Absolutely.
So tonight, 868-0331.
Yes.
313-868-0331. Support Coffee and Conversation with
Sure.
my girl Collette Bear every
Sure.
Thursday from 7 to 8.
Yes.
Tonight, Word Explosion Outreach Ministry, 7 to 8, 88.1 FM, WHCR, with myself,
Okay.
Shantae Santana,
Yes.
Mr. Ron Jones. It's going to be a jam-packed night,
I
ladies
know it
and
sounds
gentlemen.
like it.
It really is, and hopefully, Collette Bear, we would love for you to show your face in the place so you can show honor to your dad
Yes.
as well.
Sure.
So we're honoring all the great men tonight, even
Okay.
Mr. Watkins,
Yes.
Pastor Gardner as well, who has the show. So we're honoring JD, who honor all the fathers of WHCR and
Nice.
all the fathers across the nation,
All right.
and also Billy Jones. Collette Bear, you have an amazing
You
day.
too, as well,
Once
Gino.
again, tonight, Word Explosion Outreach Ministry, 7 to 8, 88.1 FM.
Okay. All right, Gino. Thank you. I appreciate it. Everyone, the conversation today has always been engaging and it's always enlightening. Those are the three E's that I always pray for: education, enlightenment, and empowerment. And I hope that that is what you have been given today. And so as we proceed in the day, I want you to think. I want you to think about what you believe and how that helps dictate what happens in your life and in the lives of others. And as we actually, and Gino, I'm glad you called. You make a great point always as we are approaching what the nation honors as Father's Day. My goal is to honor the men in our lives and our communities every day. And so let's not just get caught in that one day. Let's create awareness that honors people in our lives and specifically supportive of men and black men in these United States of America. Because no matter what, there's nothing that I can do that can best equip me to be a black man in America. I'm not taking away from any other group of men, and I honor them as well. But to be a black man in America, I can't imagine what that experience has been like. And my role as a black woman has always been to support, uplift, and uphold black men wherever you are in your walk in life. And so that is my prayer for you as we enter into this Dad's Day weekend, or however you're identifying yourselves. And I'm going to give a quick statement. When First Lady Obama was asked by Oprah what men can do to help women, she says, be better. Be better at everything. Be better fathers, just being good fathers who love your daughters and are providing a solid example of what it means to be a good man in this world, showing them what it feels like to be loved. That's the greatest gift that men in my life gave to me. And we've talked about this and that fact that I've never experienced abuse at the hands of any man in my life. And that's sad to say that's a rarity. So men can be better at that. And all of us can be better. So, as we wrap up, just appreciate who you are. Continue to think and grow rich. Continue to wonder how you can make a difference and actively make a difference in your life, the lives of your family, and the lives of the community. It's been a great conversation with you on this morning. Look forward to next Thursday and continue being amazing. Have a great day. See you next time. Thank you.